Welcome to Shore Perspectives, a community feature of WESR Radio, highlighting the spirit of the shore from those who call it home.
My name is Lisa Johnson. I am a lifelong resident of Horntown. I am co-lead with an Eastern Shore Voting Coalition, as well as Commissioner for Social Justice with the Eastern Shore, Virginia, and Maryland Baptist Association. I'm glad to be here. No matter whether it is a presidential election year or not, I feel strongly that one's voice is one's vote. One's vote is one's voice. We often are so quick to have an opinion about something, whether it's on a local, state, or national level, when exercising that right to vote is a way to make that voice really count. There were many things that I did not know. I just didn't know. I'm not even going to say I hadn't been taught around the history of voting. I sat under the sharing of a young lady who shared how the history of voting has evolved, how in decades ago, in the past, that voting might have been tied to being able to guess a particular thing or owning property. So there are various individuals by race, by gender, who have not always had the right to vote. Let's talk about women. Women have not always had the right to vote. Virginia, our Commonwealth, has become, I think it's the 38th state to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment, for example. So it's a pretty big deal from a historical perspective. That I knew. There were just many details that I was not aware of. The right to vote has been fought for, in some instances through blood, sweat, and tears. And so we, across the board, we as a collective, all people, owe it to a degree to our ancestors to exercise that right. I know I'm going to do it. In fact, I already did my early voting. Yes. We have an opportunity, first time in our history, to exercise the right to vote early without an excuse. We know the term broadly, absentee voting. So if I had to be out of town for business travel, or if I was taking care of a loved one in a different state, those would be reasons for me to be able to do an absentee in times past. But again, currently, we can vote without having, an excuse. In these times of coronavirus, many potentially are uncomfortable, even with the social distancing and the mask wearing, those measures being in place. So actually, because I have a number of medical issues, I did exercise that early voting opportunity. Absentee, early voting remains an option. And certainly we understand that protocols, the measures are being put in place so that on Tuesday, November 3rd, people can vote with a good comfort level, even in arriving at the polling location on election day, Tuesday, November 3rd. One could apply for a mail-in ballot. I did that actually, and then of my options, it came with a stamped envelope, right? But I elected to carry it to the registrar's office. So many ways, Kelley, so many ways to exercise one's vote, absolutely.
Now, you have a virtual voting forum that's coming up. Tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. Through that coalition that I mentioned, there is a full set of partners, sorority, fraternity, Greek letter organizations, other civic-minded organizations such as the National Associations for the Advancement of Colored People, religious organizations as well. There are a number of entities, those are just examples, who have formed this Eastern Shore Voting Coalition. So this actually will be our second forum. The first one was the history-based one that I mentioned before. So on this Thursday, October 8th, beginning at 7, individuals can email me to request the Zoom link, and we'll basically hear from a Republican, an independent, and a Democrat Party representative. The Republican and independent are from the Eastern Shore of Virginia. The Democratic representative who we were able to secure actually happens to be from the Eastern Shore of Maryland. So they're going to come in and just talk about their viewpoints around the importance of voting, or the deadlines and such for our respective areas out there. And we're going to also have a round of questions from the public, right? So that's open to anyone, but just indeed rather than put the Zoom out there and so I just wander on it and not make a conscious decision to come in. We're just asking folks to register via email. Yeah, looking forward to it, really looking forward to it. I would offer that. I think it's particularly important that we approach, that sort of thing from a nonpartisan standpoint, which is why we indeed put this together to have one of each representatives there. And the questions that we are offering from the coalition standpoint are, not to try to pin anyone in a corner, nor to endorse any particular candidate, but to have a conversation essentially around why it is important to vote and how to make those decisions. We want folks to make informed decisions. I hope that there will be a mixture of outcomes. I hope that those who are already voting advocates understand that there is a wealth of us, right? That they're not in it alone doing the door knocking or the text banks or the phone banks, making phone calls or, doing a lot of texting to encourage people to register by October 13th here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, or to actually get out there and vote by one of the means. I hope that those that have questions about why they should even walk away, I should say, with a firm commitment to actually voting. I hope that people realize that irregardless of party, that we all essentially want the same thing, which is to make, our areas, and I use the term broadly, to make our world, our nation, our Commonwealth a better place. We have differing thoughts around that. I hope that said that individuals leave understanding that we can agree to disagree, that just because our politics don't align doesn't mean that we have to be disagreeable toward one another. I hope that some will leave with questions, Kelley. I hope that some will leave with an understanding that I need to go do some research before I answer yes or no to the question or questions that are going to be on the ballot, because it's not all about this year, the presidential election. Everything on a local level matters as well, as it is important to answer the questions. The best means, the means that we're using, is if folks could email me at revdrlcj@gmail.com. Those abbreviations are for Reverend Dr. LCJ, Lisa Cropper Johnson. Again, it's revdrlcj@gmail.com.
If you have any perspective personally or just any thoughts that you would like to leave with our audience to encourage them, what would that be?
It would be clearly the power of one. There have been so many things that have been put into effect, right? Basketball, who makes the basketball team, all the way up to, some high-level offices that have been decided by one vote. The power of one is definitely something that I would love to leave with the listeners, that your vote matters. Every vote matters. Tell someone else. You don't have to tell them because I said so, right? Because I'm just not a little girl anymore, but someone from a small town here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. But get out the message. Don't worry about the messenger, that voting is critically important. Thank you.
To attend the free virtual voting forum on October 8th at 7 p.m., email revdrlcj@gmail.com. For more information about voting methods and deadlines, contact your local registrar. For Shore Perspectives and WESR Radio, I'm Kelley Gaskell.